Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of our podcast, What Are You Drinking? I am your host, Trinuj, and I am going to introduce everyone and ask you all what you're drinking for them today. So, Glenn, why don't you start us off and let us know what you're drinking?
Oh, I'm so happy I'm first. Right now, I'm drinking a Big Rock Bitter beer, but that's really close to done, so I've got a Big Rock Porter opened for the backup.
Nice. Big Rock.
Both really good.
Representing Alberta, I like it.
Yeah, Big Rock Brewery, really good stuff.
Sweet stuff. Dan, what about you?
This message brought to you by
Guinness today.
Oh, Guinness. Was it poured properly? Does it have the double pour?
I don't know.
Oh,
Would you let
he's
it sit
been
for a
responsible
minute?
for that, I
It
assume. In
makes
this
a little
room.
Well, it's sat here since 9 o'clock because you guys are late.
I apologize.
You
about
have
that.
to make the clover into the suds as well on the top.
Fancy,
It's not a
fancy.
latte, for fuck's sake.
That's how they pour it. Don't even.
It's gonna be a latte, damn it! And
That's how they pour
Yeah,
it.
can you
in
draw
Ireland.
an exotic flower for me as well on top?
All right, you guys can all do it. That's how they do it.
All right, Kyle,
go
Kyle, what are you drinking, buddy?
on. This isn't really fair because mine's not a legitimate brewery. I think you know where I'm going with this. This is one of my brother's brews. I'm drinking
Sounds legit to me.
a Matt Whitney. Well, since it's going to be famous one day, I'm drinking one from Rootless Brewing. It's an amber ale.
It's a local. It's as hipster as it gets. You probably
It's
haven't
as
heard of
hipster
it.
as it gets. My brother in my local
You
hometown.
probably haven't
You
heard of it.
probably haven't heard of it.
You probably
is that Quitney Pale Ale?
and the shots get fired in the first 3 minutes of the
Yeah,
podcast.
that's what I was gonna say. Shot. I don't know when we were allowing drive-bys here, but apparently.
Hey man, what was the fucking Gilmore joke that we had?
All right, on to the next fucking person. Because apparently,
He doesn't want to talk about it anymore. Okay.
I'm drinking a delicious brew.
We'll save that for
from my
another
hometown,
podcast, okay?
from my brother.
Why don't you go tweet about it?
All right, go on. Moving on.
Who's next?
All right, Panetta, what are you drinking?
Oh, man. All right.
Nana loves my brother's brews.
I actually do. I'm super jealous right now. I am drinking a good one, though. I'm drinking Oktoberfest Mill Street. So it's a
Ooh,
song.
good one. You know,
Yeah.
Just recently purchased by Labatt.
by Labatt. Yeah, you're
I
now
was
drinking a big
psyched, yeah.
sellout here.
Sell up here.
Congratulations.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
I now hate
But you
Mill
were a
Street.
hipster.
No, good for them. They made a good product and they got bought out. That's good.
Yeah, no, that's fine. If they keep brewing beers like this, I'm cool.
Yeah,
If they
don't
stay
fuck
with their normal,
As long as they don't fuck with it, everything will be fine.
Sure. All right.
Mill
Henry.
Street's
Yeah,
good stuff. I really like Mill Street. I'll continue to throw my support their way until things go south.
Fair enough, fair
Yeah,
enough.
me too, for sure.
And Heyman, what are you drinking, buddy?
I'm drinking fucking eggnog.
Oh,
That's
great
it.
choice.
Just like straight up.
that's straight egg.
Great
No,
Not
choice.
that I
with
don't
it.
support that. I'm just a bit confused.
How about you put some brandy or some rum in it?
No, I'm an eggnog purist.
Purist. I see. I was telling Glenn today that I refuse to buy eggnog until after Thanksgiving is over because it just feels wrong. So now all
Yep,
bets
me
are off.
too.
All bets are off. I'm ready to start buying eggnog. So good on you.
And it's such a shame because this was the first year that I was waiting for Heyman's text. I knew it was fucking coming soon. And then I saw eggnog, and I was like, oh my god, like I have to get this. And Kata distracted me, and I fucking missed my chance.
There you go. You fucked up. You fucked
What a
up, man.
bitch.
Fuck
Yeah.
fuck up.
Hey, that's my wife now.
Your wife's a bitch.
Good.
And okay, I'm the last one to go. I am drinking I found this. It's called the Cannery Brewing Blackberry Porter. It's a blackberry flavored fruit porter. I know it sounds weird with the fruit and stuff, but and honestly, my first sip, I was like,
What fruit?
I made a huge mistake. But it's growing on me slowly. It tastes like a stout kind of, but with a brief hint of blackberry. So not bad.
Don't try to man it up, all right? It tastes
I
like a
guess.
stout
Yeah, I know, right?
with a hint of blackberry.
I know. I did my best with what I had. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyways, our topic for the day today is going to be a pretty heated topic on the message boards and internet forums everywhere, and that is console wars. We hear so much about people just feverishly defending their favorite console. So we want to talk about why that is and if it's warranted in any sense at all. So obviously we're going to focus on the main players that play right now. So that's going to be PC, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. So all right, the floor is open. Go ahead, guys. What do you guys think?
So I'm gonna go ahead and start and say that I personally find brand loyalty to be the dumbest thing ever.
I agree with that.
When my fiance and I were shopping for cars, we didn't give a fuck who it was from. When I was shopping for computer parts, I didn't give a fuck who it was from. It's expensive. It's stupid. Every single product has its own pros and cons. I've usually leaned PlayStation, like Sony, because it has the exclusives that I want. I wanted Uncharted.
So there's a reason behind.
Yeah.
Are you actually saying that you are a PlayStation fanboy, or you just
No.
have a reason?
You seem to be contradicting yourself a little bit, right? Because you say brand loyalty is stupid.
You've given multiple examples that don't relate to the actual video game industry, so it's a bit of a red herring. Not totally. Obviously, they're relevant examples, but I'm just saying, with regards to your console, and obviously you have a PlayStation and you have a beastly gaming PC, so you're not exclusive to one thing, but you've got an argument for why you own what you do own.
Yeah. I just didn't ever care. Like, I was never huge into Halo when I was younger. I got Uncharted when I was younger. Metal Gear Solid was on the PS2, but not on Xbox. So, like, I don't know. There were never the games that drew me towards Xbox.
Yeah, so that's probably our first point to talk about, right? Is the exclusives, right?
Yeah, it's a huge part of it.
Absolutely. So that should be our first topic.
That's why companies push for it.
Yeah,
I think honestly, like being like a person that grew up with, being my first major console that I played a ton was N64, and I had a PlayStation as well. I had both, but when PlayStation 2 was released and GameCube was released, I gravitated right to PlayStation 2 based on what was available.
Yeah,
and I think as complicated as you want to, dissect it and truly evaluate what is behind it all, it really did, at least in our generation and how the consoles have evolved, it really did, it was defined by what you first bought. Whether you bought that PlayStation 2 or whether you bought that Xbox 360, whether you bought that Xbox.
Yeah, but in the same way, in the same way, I feel like so we're talking about exclusivity right now, and it's, I think that's what companies need to focus on, is that you're not going to differentiate yourself.
Or shouldn't.
No, I think they should, in the sense that the only way you can differentiate yourself from other companies is exclusive titles. So you need to put way bigger focus in exclusive titles, because I don't care.
So you're actually of the opinion that having brand loyalty and fanboyism is like a good thing and something that we should encourage, and we want companies to go that direction.
Okay, you're jumping the gun here a little bit. I'm just talking about.
Maybe I am. I'm
talking about exclusivity and what companies should focus on to gain more customers, and I think that's where it lies. I don't think Sony and Microsoft should focus on, we have HBO, we have Netflix, we have Spotify, or we have 20% better graphics on our console. Nobody cares. All games are multi-platform nowadays. The games that they should focus on are the multi-platform games. I know that they don't sell as much as if they were multi-platform, but you look at the biggest title sellers, Uncharted, Halo. Those are the two biggest players in the Microsoft and Sony game, and they're huge. They sell consoles. Simple as that. People don't get that experience anywhere else, and they bought the studio, so there's no point in bitching about it. No point in being like, oh, it should be on console. No. Or should be on PC, sorry. No, there's no point. They bought it. They spent a shit ton, millions of dollars, to buy this company and ensure that the only games they make are for their console because they want to advertise that console. So that's a totally fair game in my opinion.
Sure.
Right.
Understandable.
I like what you're saying with that, and like, even though it's silly when you're a kid, like I remember some of the arguments were like, oh, Mario could kick Sonic's ass, and like totally like you could, by the way, you kind of go with that exclusivity like you're talking about as kind of your kind of your defending points there, right?
Yeah.
At least I did.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that segues into my next point. Is we talk about brand loyalty, but I want to talk about brand definition, and that's where Nintendo totally excels out of the water when it comes to these other companies, right? It's like Microsoft doesn't know where it stands. It's trying to appeal to the hardcore gamer, but what does it get? It gets sports games, it gets Halo, it gets Gears of War. Sony wants to be all over the place, so they just find themselves being a bit disoriented. They have Uncharted, then they have the kid games, they have the Move, PlayStation Move. They're all over the place. Nintendo?
Well, do they have the PlayStation Move
Not
anymore?
really.
PlayStation Move, I disagree with the PlayStation Move because I firmly believe, though I am personally a PlayStation fan, Xbox, like the Kinect system, works far better.
Fair enough. But my point is, Nintendo has always had a vision of what kind of company they are. They've never faltered from that. They know exactly what kind of they advertise to the Nintendo fanboy, in the sense that like the person who's been with them since the beginning, and kids today, because their games are made to simply be fun. And that exclusivity is so perfect for their company, because we talked about this in previous podcasts. They are a gaming company. They don't have a stake in anything but games. And it just shows in all the products. You talk about Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Star Fox, and of course Mario. It's huge. These are amazing IPs that they've built from the ground up.
Yeah, Legend of Zelda will pull me back to Nintendo anytime.
Yeah,
like hands down.
And that goes back to my point, right? Exclusivity. Like if you get these companies, you get these studios who make these games, and they make games only for your console, you have every right to be able to sell your console with that game only. People cannot bitch and say, I wish this was on PC. I wish this game would be so much better if it was on PS4. No, because they funded it. They bought the studio. They are paying every single employee in that company to make games for that console. It's a total marketing ploy, and I totally understand that. That's not fair, right?
It's interesting that you take the side of the business in this discussion, but in previous discussions, and I'm not talking not you specifically, but as a group in the previous discussion of trends in gaming, we definitely took the consumer side rather than the business side of things in that discussion in particular.
That's fair.
So it's interesting that you have a different outlook on what you should be loyal to rather than what you should be receiving in general.
Fair enough. Okay.
I like that.
Well, here's where I'm going with this, right? I want to start the podcast off and talk about it from the consumers, from the executives' point of view, from the company's point of view, because I want to show why console fanboyism even exists in the first place, because of what companies try so hard to do. But I think since you mentioned that, let's talk about. Well, okay. I want to hear your theory first. Go ahead.
Okay, so what's your stereotypical fanboy? Like, imagine him now, and what's his voice? Because he's on mic chat with you, right? Because you're not him, because you don't consider yourself that, right?
Yeah.
So he's on mic chat with you, and it's a he, because your stereotypical gamer is a male.
Mm-hmm.
How is he prepubescent?
You know what? If you would ask me that question probably like a few years ago, I would say yes. But now, like based on the kind of data I've seen and what I see online, it's a lot of stupid like teenagers to like mid-20s. Oh, I would say is the core gamer, and they're all the same. You cannot blame it on the kids, because there's a lot of smart kids out there too who don't give a fuck, right? They just want to play games because they're fun. They don't give a shit about whether it's on PS4 or PC or Xbox. You know?
Sure. But I still think from a stereotypical standpoint, you're looking at someone who's relatively young and immature. And so this is going to lead into another point, and maybe I didn't get a great segue off of this, but I'm still going to make the point. I think that most of your stereotypical fanboys are going to be people who are living not on their own means. And I think that's a big part of it, because when I was a kid, it was like, oh, I really want to get a video game system. I need my parents to get it for me because I don't have $200 or $300 or $150.
Yeah.
I just don't have it, literally. So even if you were asking for it for Christmas, you had to use a Christmas gift on it, or maybe you were using your Christmas money on it, or whatever holidays you're celebrating, or whatever it is that, however you get it, you have to use a really significant portion of your resources on it.
Absolutely.
And I think a big part of fanboyism spawns out of the fact that, oh, well, I spent 6 months or a year or a birthday gift or a Christmas gift on this console, and now I'm really, really invested in it from literally a financial standpoint, because when you're that young, you're not taking into account food or shelter, which you're hopefully receiving from your parents. But your investment is on that scale, and so you're massively invested. Like, and by percentage wise, I mean like 100% of your year is invested on this one thing, or maybe it's 50% of your year, but that's still insanely large. And so now you're like, I need to justify this purchase. I need this to be correct.
Absolutely.
And if it's wrong, I'm so wrong, and I'm so in the detriment for it. Yeah. So now I need to go online and I need to champion this.
Mm-hmm. I need
everyone to think I'm right, so that I think I'm right, so that everyone knows that that's the right purchase. I made the right decision. I made the right purchase.
So you're saying it's more of a need for people to be.
I think that's a portion of it. It's not necessarily 100%, but I think that really is a portion of it.
I think it's a great hypothesis. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think people need validation for every single one of their purchases.
Validation. That's a very good
That's
word.
That's why people go on and they have unboxing videos and they write reviews, because they need to know that the thing they spent a shit ton of money on and a shit ton of time, and they're going to spend a shit ton of time on, is worth it in their opinion, right?
Time investment. That's also a big part of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think you hit the nail on the head. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, with this generation, is the console wars for this generation as bad as it has been? Because from my perspective, it isn't.
Really, but I would disagree. I would disagree. I think people attack Microsoft way more than necessary, and they have just become the scapegoat of this generation. That's my opinion of this generation.
For gaming or
for gaming?
For gaming. But I think that comes to how they were trying to launch the original, and they got such a backlash from it.
I even think the backlash is unwarranted. People talk about how they didn't want people to be always online, yet I guarantee you a stat out there would probably say that over 90% of people are always online. No one bitches about it. Okay, sure, you got your people in third world countries or with unstable internet connections who have an issue with it, but if you look at the Xbox Live numbers and the PSN numbers, everyone's online. Everyone's downloading patches, and for all intents and purposes, the Xbox and PS4 are always online. Let's be honest.
Because they have to be online, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you talk about a scenario where you have to be online, of course 90% of the users are going to be online because they have to be.
You have to receive patches. You have to receive updates to games. And if you don't do it, people this goes back to our last week's topic.
Invalidate your complaint.
People are shipping unbroken games. But okay, so that's going back to last week's topic. I agree. Like developers ship unbroken games, so you need to be on the internet to get the most latest patches and updates, whatever, right? But I think fanboyism is rampant in this generation, worse even than last generation. Because last generation, it was so clear that Nintendo was the leader because they got the mainstream audience, whereas PS3 and Xbox 360 were neck and neck. My problem with just this generation goes to, yes, Microsoft was treated unfairly at the beginning of this generation, and here's the biggest problem that I have in terms of consumers and their console wars. They support PS4 so much because it has such a huge lead on it, and in a sense, they've kind of gained back the audience that they had in the PS2 era, and now they have like a 70% share over the console market, right? And people love it. They say, "Oh, it's great." But here's the underlying issue that I have a big problem with. Console gamers should not ask for a monopoly. A monopoly is bad in every sense of the way. If PlayStation excels at what it does without any competition from Microsoft, that just means that Sony can do the bare minimum and not do anything else, and they're more than happy with their money. Case in point, they didn't have to reduce their price at all because they had so many sales at the higher price point than Microsoft. For the last year, they only just reduced their price. That's bullshit. Like, they should constantly be under pressure from Microsoft to fight things like that. And I'm not just talking about pricing. I'm talking about all issues across the board between consoles. And I'll get into it in a second, but I want to hear your opinion so far.
Good argument.
Yeah. Microsoft was definitely more murdered at the start, and that was some complete bonehead mistakes by them.
Yeah.
Like, really stupid marketing, HR, no, not HR, PR.
Right.
Like,
but HR always sucks. We all know.
Well, yeah, of course. But no, PR work, just marketing, it was just awful. Just the worst.
Yeah. But they bounced back pretty well, I'd say. They've bounced back well.
Seems like it so far, yeah.
But they seem kind of hypocritical about a lot of stuff too.
But
right?
they've changed.
The
They've
Xbox-
changed leadership and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So obviously they have to.
But it's like, oh, the Xbox won't work with Kinect. 3 months later, oh, here, Xbox without Kinect.
Fair enough.
It's right, like it's
Fair
that sort of stuff that it doesn't gain you favor with
Yeah.
anyone.
Okay. Well, my point is this. I'm kind of mimicking what I saw in a video game donkey video I saw on YouTube, popular YouTuber. He talked about, like, it was a video called Microsoft Sucks, and he just bitched at Microsoft, and he had a very valid point, even though he did it in a satirical manner. Paying for online, that's what pisses me off the most, right? Like, Xbox had the lead in the previous generation, and they took advantage of it. They had the monopoly, and they said, we are going to charge $60 to play online, what you can do for free on PC. And everyone went okay with it, and they blamed it on, oh, it's server infrastructure, it's maintenance, it's all this BS. No, because they constantly went down, you constantly had issues, and you're not bringing the money into it. It's still a shit network. And then Sony decided, hey, if Microsoft can get away with it, then so can we. And then they started charging money for it. And now it's the fucking social norm. Now it's totally required. The only good thing is Sony started giving out the free games with the PlayStation Plus program, and Microsoft had to do the same thing with Games for Gold. So at least there was some competition that got people to get on the same page. But until then, we were getting ripped off. Xbox players were paying $60 a year to do what PC gamers have been doing for the last 15 years for free. And that's bullshit. That's what fanboyism does. So we shouldn't be asking for console wars. So now I'm starting to get towards the consumer point of the thing, where I say it makes no sense to me why anyone should be loyal to a company, because the company doesn't care about you. They just care about making
100%.
money, right?
100%. Yeah.
The number of fucks that they actually give is surprisingly low.
Absolutely. So people have this like attachment, and they want this monopoly, and it just makes no sense to me. Why do you care about what a multi-billion-dollar company is doing? They don't care about you. They just care about your money, and then they're happy. And now with the rise of digital games, they don't even care about like making sure you retain the game. They just care about you getting a purchase on their store, and they're more than happy because you cannot return that digital game.
Yeah.
So it's getting worse, Dan. To your point, I think it's getting worse. I think this generation is worse.
The fanboyism or the situation in general?
The fanboyism. I'm talking about the console wars and the fanboyism. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's just me being older and not paying attention to it. That's kind of how I thought. Because, like, GameCube, PlayStation, Xbox era, there was a lot more
It's fiery.
exclusivity between the consoles.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of games.
And now it feels like there's less of that.
Yes, I would agree.
You have your huge, like, do you call them AAA if they're exclusive? Then yeah, those the big,
well, maybe yeah, AAA.
the big IPs anyways.
Right.
Sure.
Those are your main console sellers. Like anything else, you can get on probably the console you already have.
Right. But you still see, like, even if you talk about 2 generations ago, you still see, like, GameCube was far behind, and in a way, it's kind of like this generation is copying 2 generations ago when PlayStation 2 was ahead. The Wii U is far behind, and yet it still tries to stay relevant. It's doing great things in the sense of its exclusive games, right? Like, the Legend of Zelda game is gonna kill it. Smash Bros is fantastic, and every Super Mario game is absolutely amazing.
I think arguably through the whole console wars, despite the fact of hardware performance that Xbox and PlayStation come out on top, I think arguably Nintendo has still maintained higher exclusivity than any other system. Like, really,
because they are a brand company. They focus on the brand.
Because they've built their whole franchise off of brands that they've trademarked that nobody can take. When you think about when Xbox and PlayStation all started, a lot of those franchises have gone, either fallen by the wayside or gone cross-platform.
Or just gone with the
except
wind,
for
right?
Halo. Well, that's the thing. Except for Halo and when it comes to Xbox. And PlayStation hasn't really given up titles as much as it has as much as it has just moved on to new ones.
Well,
Halo's
think about
lasting Xbox.
Think about Naughty Dog, right? Like, and that's the one I really like to bring up because they've always been at the forefront of being a mascot for PlayStation, right? Especially with PlayStation 1.
Yes.
They had
Naughty
Crash
Dog
Bandicoot. which straight up fought against Mario. Like literally every single commercial was Crash versus Mario.
Crash, that's right.
Right, and then what they've done is that instead of just like latching onto the same IP like Nintendo did with Mario, they basically said we're gonna grow up with our customer base. So they had Jack and Daxter for the teenagers in the crowd that grew up with Crash. Right, and then eventually Uncharted, and then like as we got more mature, Last of Us. So like they've done a fantastic job of pushing their creative team into the same generations as us, and B growing up with us in a sense, right? Like, and I really do appreciate that about Naughty Dog. It's a different way of looking at things rather than when Nintendo, which is focusing on nostalgia and childhood.
Well, I agree with you there, but then there's the point of when you're talking about bringing people in, and when you're talking about market share too, there's some interesting stuff to be said. But if you're talking about Nintendo having the most exclusivity, and then that's why I kind of find it surprising when, and I believe that to be true, they have that, and to me that means that that's people who are already in the gaming world, in the gaming community, in the gaming demographic. And then they make a decision to bring in people in a new demographic when they did the whole Wii decision thing. And I find that kind of strange. And I want to know what you guys thought about that, too.
That was an anomaly, because I think that was a once-in-a-lifetime shot. And I feel like, well, you correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Please feel free to interrupt me. But I think that'll never work again. Like, the Wii hit it at the perfect time, and people learn their lesson now, and they're not going to buy another console based on what their friends are buying. It's just, it was simple.
Did it even hit that hard, though?
Yeah, I don't even think it'll be close to hitting that hard. The Wii was an anomaly. It was like a freak incident in a sense.
The Wii hit the market at the perfect time in terms of that gap in technology. They jumped on top of a technology where, you know what I mean, like we'll look at the market they tapped into. Families, essentially.
Yep.
Everybody could relate to this console, and they tapped into the market at the perfect time.
Yeah,
and
easy to play.
Yeah,
when PlayStation and Xbox weren't with them in terms of family play and everybody getting together, and they tapped that market.
Absolutely,
and that's what it was. And it was like it was a new. And Nintendo's always been very good at pushing that new form of technology that nobody's seen before. And at the time, nobody had seen that level of motion.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I think, Kyle. Okay, sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, here's what I think. I think that, yes, you have a lot of valid points, but here's what I think. Before, like when the GameCube was relevant, gaming was still considered a niche activity. It was very much a nerdy thing to do. Basement dwellers. We had this huge stereotype against us. It was Nintendo that brought everyone to the forefront. It was a mainstream event now. And now that we're in this day and age, like when people like Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon embrace the gaming community and include them in talk show hosts for God's sake, and people and like Forbes magazine and the New Yorker are talking about games, it's relevant today. Like people need to stop messing around and thinking that only basement dwellers play games, because there's $1 million tournaments out there. It's like people controversially call it esports. And it's just a part of culture now. So it's no longer this niche activity. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that's going to keep making more and more money. And Nintendo was the beginning of that.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And that's what I'm saying, in the fact that like tapping that market, I think opened people's minds more than opened their wallet. You know what I mean? Like I think it revealed to them a bigger industry. And when everybody started purchasing that console and everybody started realizing, how broad of an entertainment value it had, I think it opened a lot of eyes to the industry in a bigger way. And I think, you know what I mean? Like Nintendo falls short of that in a lot of ways. Nintendo doesn't get a lot of credit in the ways that it should on how it's pushed the boundaries, despite the fact that, yes, after Wii, it did fall behind. It did. I truly believe, and we talked about this before, not in podcast, but we have talked about this before, where I truly believe they did make a mistake with Wii U, and they did miss an opportunity where I think Wii U was an attempt to catch up that has, in my opinion, failed. And this is their opportunity now, because everybody knows now in the gaming industry, at least anybody that keeps up with it, Nintendo is now working on something for the next generation. And this is their chance for a Hail Mary, This is the chance to do what Nintendo does and push the next level. And I think like it's just they have the benefit, they have that luxury of being Nintendo. They were there before everybody else.
I'm a firm believer. Okay, so like Nintendo has always been it seems to be offset from the main PlayStation and Xbox in the sense of like generation gaps and technology gaps and stuff. I'm a firm believer that if Nintendo were to release a console at the exact same time as the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Next, or whatever you want to call it, and basically say, here's a console that plays all of today's games, including the multi-platforms, but it also plays the new Zelda, the new Mario, the new Metroid, the new Star Fox, the new F-Zero, everything. It would crush the competition. I'm a firm believer of that. It has the power and exclusivity. It has the internal companies to make the best games exclusivity-wise. That's my opinion.
And this may seem controversial what I previously just said, but they fell behind with the previous consoles. But I don't want as much say that they fell behind with consoles, but they fell behind with gamers. I don't think Nintendo's ever been, and I truly believe this. Like at heart, I don't believe Nintendo's ever been at war with Sony and Microsoft.
That's a great point.
Like, I don't believe they've ever, like, the way that Sony and Microsoft have battled with each other for years, I don't think Nintendo's ever been in that mix. I think Nintendo's war has been with the gamers.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
I think they've truly been trying to compete with what people expect from them rather than what people...
They're trying to stay relevant, right? Like, especially in this day and age. They're trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, rather than what people expect them to compete with, like, oh, are they good as PlayStation? Nobody's ever expected them.
They're not trying to, exactly, yeah.
With PlayStation and Microsoft, people have expected them to be Nintendo and just do their thing and keep giving you, like, everybody wants to play Smash Brothers and Zelda and Mario and all those titles and Star Fox and everything. People want to play that. They don't care if it's as good as fucking PlayStation. They don't care if it's as good as Microsoft or whether they have the latest VR technology. Nobody cares about that. They want them to push the limits of what they can do and what they can bring to you. And I really truly don't think they've ever been at war with the other consoles. I think it's always been a matter of what they feel they can push.
Yeah, which is why I think the Wii was such an anomaly. It was like pure luck. It's like they just hit a home run, right? They weren't planning for it. They just said, we're going to attack a market that the PlayStation and Xbox have never thought of, and they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. Simplicity.
Well, they innovated more is what it was.
It was innovative.
Right?
We have to give them
like,
credit.
when was the last time there was actually motion controls or anything of that sort before?
Very good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. They pushed that limit.
That's why they will always stay relevant.
What do you mean I can play tennis in my living room? Like it was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was crazy.
When your grandma can pick up a console and just know how to play it without knowing, being like, oh, here's X, circle, square, Y, A, B, whatever, like left control, left. Like no, there's no triggers for tennis. It's intuitive. It's genius.
Nintendo was basically like, oh, here's a couple like billion people that we haven't tapped. Let's do this.
Genius.
All of a sudden, bam!
Genius.
You have mom and dad picking it up. You have, like you said, grandma and grandpa picking it up.
Yeah.
Because it was easy. How do you make it accessible yet fun?
Yeah.
And motion control offered that for them. And it's a whole other war with Nintendo. Like I said, it's not.
Sure.
Take PlayStation and Microsoft out of the equation. It's not a beef with them. It's a beef with gamers because we've been with Nintendo since the beginning, and we don't expect that competition. We expect a different level from Nintendo, and I hope and I believe that they will deliver that in the next generation.
I hope so too. Anyone have any other final thoughts before I move on to what I think will be the final topic? No? Okay, well, I'm going to bring up the one topic we haven't brought up today, and that's PC gamers and PC gaming. And that's going to be our last topic for the day. Yeah, so that's a big one, right? So that has stayed relevant for the last, 20 years or so. There's always been a core group of PC gamers, and it just seems to grow and grow and grow. And today, with the rise of Steam and Steam consoles and Steam machines and whatever else you can think of, it's big. PC is big. I remember 5-6 years ago, articles were being published day and night. PC gaming is dead. PC gaming is dead. And the way gamers have embraced this culture, it's amazing. But is fanboyism and master race, Is that all relevant? Is that warranted? What do you guys think?
I feel like the PC Master Race is just it's a response to like the fanboyism that exists. Like I know there are people out there who are like legit really into being PC Master Race, but like I own a PC and I believe in the PC Master Race, but like I don't actually give a fuck. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like that's.
But the people who do give
they
way
exist.
too much of a fuck.
I just feel like they're less prevalent than on the consoles themselves.
They're the vocal minority.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of putting it.
I wouldn't say a subreddit of like 300,000 people is a minority. I think
300,000. That's not a lot for Reddit. Come
That's
on,
not a lot.
it's real. Like it's a good number of people. It's not like discountable, but like for Reddit, 300,000 is pretty fucking mediocre.
Okay, I just threw a number out of my ass, but my point is
I have no idea what the actual subscribership of that Reddit is.
My point is
I thought that was legit.
No, my point is like
You can't pull numbers out of your ass on this podcast. This is legitimate.
This is factual.
Oh my god, it's actually
There's zero
475,000.
there you go.
It's still
Okay,
not-
so we were in the right
That's not
ballpark.
My point is
475,961.
yeah. So my point is that it's over the top. Like the amount of people who say like, oh, that game's not on PC. Fuck that game. Fuck its family. I hope everyone dies in the developer team. Like that's what I hate about the PC audience.
Is that exclusive to PC though?
I would say, in my opinion, what I've seen on the internet, PC gamers are the worst when it comes to fanboys, and that's what I want to discuss. I think they're worse than PlayStation or Xbox today.
I've always found them to be the least worst.
I feel like it's always just a reaction to all the console fanboys, is what it is.
What is it?
It might be reactionary. It might be reactionary. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like it's like a disease fighting back against anything, and it's just like they're gonna. No, it's true. I mean, to give the comparison, I mean, it's their way of it's the way of life defending itself. Like it's just they're not gonna. They see a threat to their way of life, and they're gonna defend themselves. And
Yeah,
honestly,
I mean,
it
you go
is.
back to that validation, and you think about what we were talking about earlier. Like a console, you can only spend so much, right? With PCs, the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah.
Really.
Yep.
But that's I think that's one of the topics that annoys me the most when they talk about, oh, you can build a PC for half the price of a console, blah, blah. It's like, the reason people buy consoles is because they don't want to care about specs. They just want to be able to put in a disc and it works, or play a game and it works. And I totally respect that. But when PC gamers come out and talk about such a huge game, such a huge battle, and say, oh, it can be built for less than the price of a PS4 and less than the price of an Xbox, like, who cares? You don't have a stake in how a player plays a game, who cares about what they're doing? It doesn't affect you in any way whatsoever. That's what I have an issue with PC gamers.
Oh, it's the same validation that we talked about before, though. I made this investment and it's better. My investment's better than yours.
That's probably what they're doing. You're absolutely right. I bought this $400 graphics card, and I need to validate it.
It's so much better. My investment.
I also will never.
It goes back to, like, mine's better than yours, right? Like, because PC games can be played at a higher fidelity than video games, people say that, oh, why would we play a video game? Why would I not play a piece of content in the best possible quality? Why would I watch a movie on video cassette when I could watch it on Blu-ray? That's the same kind of idea, right? So that's how they argue.
It's. I mean, you'll never. I mean, I don't know. Every PC gamer can argue, but like, you're never gonna, like you mentioned, like I can build a PC with the same price as building a PC. You'll never be able to build a PC for $400. Is good. That'll create as smooth of graphics as you'll get on. You know what I mean? It's always going to be more expensive. It'll always be more expensive to PC game than it will to console.
Yeah, but
in the long run, and especially if you're hardcore.
No,
PC,
not in the long run. In the immediate run.
In the immediate run, yeah. The long run's wrong.
In the long run, the PC will win.
Depends on what kind of gamer you are, though, Glenn. Because I mean, like when you think about it, how often if you're the hardcore PC gamer, you're upgrading pretty often.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the hardcore, right? We're talking about beating consoles. In order to stay ahead of consoles, I have to upgrade my graphics card every 4 years, 5 years, maybe. I'm serious. Like
to be fair,
my graphics card is 3 years old. I can
to be
beat
fair,
out
though,
everything on consoles.
how long did the PS3 run for?
Absolutely, that was my point. To be fair, the PS3 was a 7-year-old console, and they were releasing Grand Theft Auto 5 on it.
And the graphics get worse and worse as time goes on.
No, I think it's the opposite.
Right?
I think the graphics get better as they go on because they learn to develop on the console.
Perfectly fine, but I mean, I guess I don't know.
What I will say to favor you, Glenn, I will say that consoles hold back the PC, right? Because they're developing for the lowest common denominator,
still,
right? Yeah, they designed for the lowest common denominator, which means GTA 5 was great but it was not the same game it could have been if it wasn't released on PS3 and Xbox 360, right? It was held back, and that's just one example. There's tons of games that were released.
There are a ton of examples,
right? Yeah. That were totally developed for the shitty Xbox 360 and PS3 when the PC was way ahead of time.
And I think there are certain game categories that will always be better on PC, even regardless of graphics, just control based. Like take first-person shooters, for example. Any person that's a PC gamer, any person that's a PC gamer will take first-person shooters on PC.
Okay, and I want to bring up a topic we talked about last week, which is indie games. I think their platform on PC excels every other platform, hands down. PlayStation and Xbox are playing catch-up beyond belief, and Nintendo is in a league of its own.
We discussed that last week. Yeah, for sure.
So PC, huge props to them for doing that, for sure.
Yep.
Steam.
I was going to bring that up. I'm sad I missed indie talk.
So
can we all just take a moment and think about what the new Steam thing is called?
Steam machine?
The Steam machine, the Steam console.
Steam box?
I don't know what to think about that.
I don't know if that was intentional or not. But
well, I don't know what to think about it because I feel like I don't know who are they targeting? Are they targeting PC gamers? Because they shouldn't be. PC gamers have their money. Like they're gonna build PCs.
Yeah,
I think
the
problem is Valve wants a piece of the entire pie because they don't want to give money to Microsoft for buying Windows PCs and then installing Steam. They want all the money with the Steam machine. But the problem is the price base is too high, right? If you're charging $1,500 for a Steam machine ready console, it's way too much money. They can the savvy PC gamer can build it for half the price with sales and a Windows PC. So they have some work to do, but I don't know. We'll see. That's for another day and topic. Okay, so I think we made some great conversation pieces today. Does anyone have any last minute conversation they want to make about console wars? I think we've done a great job.
I think that's good.
Yeah,
I think we're good.
I think I'm happy with that too. That was fantastic.
I'd also like to. I just like to establish that in console wars, PlayStation 3 did have a Blu-ray player over Xbox 360, which
oh my god.
Because I specifically remember working, and I worked at Future Shop at the time, and I specifically remember so many people not buying, or like anybody that did buy an Xbox 360 bought the HD DVD player add-on for it.
Yeah.
Before HD DVDs got beat out by Blu-ray, and I just gotta say, that was a
today that stuff is so irrelevant, right? Like they cannot focus on that as a selling point at all because everything, like every console, every TV, like even Chromecast is available for $40 fucking bucks. That has Netflix, HBO, everything, right? Like you cannot use that as a conversation point because the scope of the game, entertainment is changing. It is no longer about selling a proprietary format. It is no longer about selling platforms like HBO, Netflix, or SportsCenter, for God's sake. It is you need to differentiate yourself in a different way, and that's what companies should focus on. I don't care. I'm a fucking consumer. I'm going to pick what's the best out there based on the games, based on what I feel like is relevant for me. So you have to win over my...
Smart TVs are a prime example of that, making a lot of these consoles have to rethink what makes them great.
I think that's what I want to summarize as my final point, is that console wars to me are ridiculous, and this is going back to the first thing we talked about, Glenn. Like you talked about me being on the side of the developer, but I'm more on the side of the consumer where like it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter to the consumer. You should buy what you think is what you're happy with, and whatever anyone says, it shouldn't fucking matter. Buy what your friends play so you can play with them, or buy what you enjoy with your own money. And validation, if you need it, go nuts. Argue away on the internet. Yeah, argue away, because for the most part, I'm not going to be listening.
All right.
Are we happy with that?
Yep.
Okay, I want to thank you guys again. Fantastic episode. And we will see you guys again next week or whenever we get a chance to record. I am stalling for time as I try to find the stop button.
PC for life!
PC Master Race for life, I guess.
Also, could we also say just one last actual thing, that as much as I said before Microsoft fucked up this generation at the very start, PlayStation really fucked up the last generation by releasing it later, on top of being $100 more expensive.
Yeah, they were
on top
cocky
of
as
a
hell.
couple other factors.
They were cocky as hell, right? Because they were riding
Yeah.
off the PlayStation 2, and they thought that they were bosses of the world.
Yeah.
games.
That's no mystery. Everybody knows they fucked that up.
Yeah, and they're trying hard to fight it, but my point is they shouldn't like people shouldn't ask for the PS4 to just dominate this generation, because you're only gonna get shittier quality from Sony, because they know they have to cater to the lowest common denominator, which is like so they're gonna charge $60 a year for paying for internet when you shouldn't be paying anything at all, and everyone's base level is gonna go down, which is not fair, right? So. I think competition is good, and that's not just for the video game industry, that's for every industry. Competition is good, it raises the stakes for everyone involved.
Literally economy 101.
Economy 101.
I was going to say,
Absolutely.
101.
Absolutely. So there you go, we're teaching you about economics as well with this podcast.
We'll call this the Economics What Are You Drinking podcast,
There
where
you
we
go.
get drunk
I
and
like
talk
it.
about economics.
Okay, guys, I want to thank you once again, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Peace.